I'm joined here today by the bulldozer himself, Tanner Boser, coming off the big victory, UFC debut this past weekend in Boston. Thanks so much for joining me, man. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Of course, man. First things first, you did make your UFC debut. How did it feel to go out there on the big stage and get the win in your first one?
It felt good, obviously. Good to get a win in your UFC debut, but it's not my first time on the big stage, and it didn't feel any different than lots of my fights have.
And we know you fought a tough opponent out there, somebody who's had multiple fights in the UFC before. Were you kind of worried at all about the experience factor in this one, or do you feel like you fought enough times that it really doesn't matter at this point?
I have more experience than him. His record was 6-2, and I was 16-5-1. So experience factor was by far on my side, not on his.
Well, I meant more like in the UFC, the fact that he had more fights in the UFC.
Doesn't matter. I've still fought like competition just as stiff or stiffer than him. So no, I had the experience edge.
For sure, man. How did it feel when you finally got your hand raised in that one? I assume you hear the judges and everything. Was your debut kind of how you pictured it ahead of time?
Yeah, it went well. Everything went according to plan. It was a great, good scenario for me. Everything turned out good, and Daniel is a good competitor, so I definitely had to be on my game and be sharp. But I mean, after round three was done, I knew I won that fight. So
And when you're in the fight, a lot of fighters sometimes they tune out, they black out, sort of. They don't really focus on the fight itself. When did you know mentally? I mean, you mentioned the third round, but did you know at what points you're winning the fight, or did you kind of realize it towards the end?
at no point during the fight did I think I was losing it. I was in control of the fight the entire time, I felt. So, again, I had to be sharp, and he hit me with some good shots, but, I hit him with more. So, uh, at no point can you ever slip up, because then you get caught and get knocked out. Every heavyweight in the UFC is a dangerous, dangerous guy, but I felt like I controlled the fight, and the whole time I felt like it was definitely in my favor, all in all.
And I believe you did have some mixed reaction from the fans. I think some guys were booing and stuff like that. What did you make of all that? Was it distracting at all, or is it just not something you think about at all?
No, people yell stupid shit no matter where you're fighting, and no, it doesn't matter. There's always that, asshole in the nosebleed screaming something stupid. So, I mean, that's always there. It's fine.
And is that something you hear while you're in the fight? 'Cause I know some guys, they're kind of in the zone and they kind of tune stuff out. Or is that something you're actually hearing when you're in the fight?
Yeah, I hear stuff. I mean, I probably don't hear everything, but I definitely hear something.
And so, what's next for you at this point in your career? I mean, is it just about trying to get one more fight before the end of the year? I mean, what's kind of next at this point with the UFC?
I'd fight in December, or if they don't have one for me, then maybe January, but that's up to my manager, UFC, to figure out. I don't care who I fight. I would just prefer a fight, in the near future. Like,
And what was it like after the fight when you opened up your phone? I guess you checked social media and stuff like that. What kind of reactions were you getting online?
well, very positive. All my friends and family in Canada are just stoked. Everybody congratulating me, and everybody from Canada was pretty happy for me and pretty proud. So it felt good.
And I believe from my end on Twitter, I was seeing a lot of people were talking about your haircut. You definitely have an interesting haircut. What's sort of the story behind that? Is there a story behind it, or is that just like how you like to wear it?
I've just had a haircut like that my whole life, pretty much. So
So there's no story, no nothing like that.
just had it forever. Why change it now?
For sure, that makes sense. I believe in the past you fought for N1 Global, ACB, and stuff like that. Did you notice a difference with that in the UFC? Obviously, we know the locations are different, but did you notice a big difference in the production value and even the way some of the staff was backstage?
Yeah, UFC is like more professional, not rushed, and not changing times that they scheduled for things. Like UFC definitely had it together. They're a great group of people to work with behind the scenes. I definitely enjoyed fighting for M1 and ACB as well, and I like a lot of the people that work there too. But in terms of like organization and stuff, UFC is definitely on top of stuff.
And I believe you are now on a two-fight winning streak. I believe the last time before getting into the UFC was a leg kick TKO. What do you think's kind of been the secret behind your winning streak? Is it the way you train? Is it just going out there and filling it out? What's kind of been going on for you?
Uh, I train with a group of really good guys, and we train hard all the time. We, several days a week eat bread because of how hard the cardio is. Um, but my technique and movement and timing are what sets me apart from a lot of other heavyweights. I'm typically able to implement those kind of uh, styles, I guess.
And a lot of fighters, they mention when they make their debut that they have those famous octagon jitters. You have fought on a big stage before, but did you experience anything like that at all? Any of those famous octagon jitters?
Not at all, not one bit.
I mean, what's the emotion like when you're backstage? Does it feel like any other fight, or does it truly feel different because this is sort of a different atmosphere?
Well, I can't speak to everybody else. I'm sure it feels different to some people, but to me it felt the same. I had a fight. Uh, I had a schedule, except I had a for sure time where I was going to fight, which was local time, 6 o'clock. So I knew I just had to be warmed up and ready to fight at 6 o'clock. It felt no different to me than basically any other fight. So I don't know. Maybe it's a mental thing, but well, it is a mental thing. You let it go, I guess you can, but to me, it didn't feel any different.
And it's something you've been mentioning a lot is those fight times, the fights not getting switched up at the last minute and stuff like that. Is that something that you've experienced a lot before in your career?
What, getting switched up at the last minute?
The fights and sort of the times and stuff like that?
Well, no. So on other shows that aren't televised on like um, international networks, it's just when the fight in front of you is done, then you walk out the fight. They don't actually have a scheduled time, right? So
Oh, okay.
you just kind of got to be warm and ready and a guess to your best ability how long these fights are going to take, and be prepared. So when you have a for sure time you're walking out, it's pretty easy to get warmed up and know how you be ready for that exact time.
And so does that add an extra stress on you knowing that you're not 100% sure when you're going to be making your walk to the cage, or is it just about sort of something you let your coaches worry about?
No, I was used to it though. Like that's how it is almost everywhere else, you know. So, but no, like I'm sure, yeah, it can add, I guess, extra stress, but you just kind of got to be warmed up for a longer time because you don't want it to go right down to the wire, right? Just in case like the two fights in front of you end right off the bat in round one or something. But yeah, no, it's all good to me.
And so what are your goals now that you're with the UFC? A lot of guys, obviously the goal is to become champion. I assume with yourself you want to be champion, fight in Canada as well. What are sort of your goals now that with you're with the UFC?
I want to win more fights than I lose. I want to fight tough guys, and I want to be good. That's it. I don't have grand aspirations of wanting to be champion, anything like that. I just gonna ride the wave. I'm just gonna fight. I'm gonna keep fighting. Hopefully, they keep me on for a long, long time, and I got to take it one step at a time. That was only fight number one. It went well for me, but I got to keep my head in the game, stay sharp, and I wanna fight good guys, and I want to beat some of them. How's that?
That's very good. A lot of guys know it's becoming champion stuff that's way in the future, but yours is really it's more grounded and something that's a little bit more realistic in this case.
What do you mean?
I mean, realistic, like right now, it's taking it one fight at a time, and winning more than you lose. It's definitely a little bit more. It's not up there with some of the crazier things. You know what I mean? Like beating Mighty Mouse's record when you just joined the UFC. I mean, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, man. I'm I'm just here to fight.
For sure, and that leads me to my last question, kind of a two-parter. When do you think you'll fight again, or when would you like to fight again, and who do you want next?
December, hopefully, or January. And I don't care who I fight next. I really don't have any idea. There's a lot of guys that it could be, and I don't give a shit which one of them it is. So hopefully December, maybe January, and I don't care who.
All right, well, we look forward to seeing what's next for you, man. Thanks so much for the time. I really appreciate it, and congratulations on the win, man.
Cool, yeah, thank you.